Okay, let's hope that this time is a good one. Something happened which I have no idea. The sound is all right in Windows, but the streaming doesn't get it. So I had to actually restart a new link. So sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. We'll see if it does it again or not. Hopefully not, and we'll continue. I got a question for you guys. When the spam went through earlier, did it just spam and it didn't have that limit earlier? I just was curious because I saw the spam go through. I had the impression that it didn't abide to the 1 minute limit. So I put a limit now, but I put 20 seconds. The limit is much smaller. So you guys can write every 20 seconds. So I'm a little curious with that. I have the impression that the spam wasn't abiding by the rule, which is kind of weird. Because if the spam doesn't abide by the rule, it means that it's spamming in another way. So, anyways, let's go back here. Who did I not say hello to? We have Alan says the realistic scanner brings back good memories. What else do we have? Let me just check if everything. Junior worked Radio Shack back in the 90s. We had antennas on the store roof, and I played with radios all day. Patrick, nice to have you here from Washington State. What else do we have? Caller icon is receiving 11780, which is Radio Nacional Amazonas, Brazil. Andy New, it's nothing special. Moderator duty simply means that if you see a spam message or if somebody is not playing well with everyone and needs to be booted out, on the right side of when you see somebody's posts on the name, you will see that on the right side you got 3 dots, and in there you will now have the possibility to delete a message or block a person temporarily, stuff like that. You can block the person from being in the on the channel and stuff like that. So simply, the simple rule is if somebody is really a bad player and shouldn't be here, you can block them. If it's spam, like we had spam go through, you can block it. It's as simple as that. So nothing fancy, and it's a way to keep the bad guys out of the channel and keep the conversation clean and fun. James Farley, hello again from New Jersey. Johnny Sorrentino, nice to have you here. We have, what else do we have? Randall, nice to have you here from Nashville, Tennessee. Jason V9JMC, nice to have you on board. People were starting to go crazy. So anyways, it's something that happened before. For some reason, the only way that I can actually fix it is to restart the stream, because it seems to be between the computer audio and the streaming that it's happening, because the audio in Windows, it was still working fine. I could see the volumes, I could see the levels go through, and everything was there, but it just didn't make the link to the streaming, which is weird. It happened once in the past, so hopefully it's not going to happen again tonight. So nice to hear. I'm going to try to keep an eye a little more on the sound icon and the sound levels on the software here. VE2FGJ, nice to have you on board. Yes, everything's fine. What else do we have? Anything that I'm missing here? Sorry, guys. The Wind, 1960. Nice to have you here from New York, Tim. So, got some questions through email, and we're gonna check that out. So, we have somebody through email that is going to say hello. So, in my email, I got it this morning with the idea that I would be live tonight. So, it's just gonna find it here. Okay, so we got a Jerry that is located in near the southwest of London in the UK. So Jerry says that he actually was born in the United States. He grew up in the state of New York, and his father had military duty that made him travel through the world. He ended up in the UK, where he is now living and has been living for 10 years. And he really enjoys being there. He says he misses being in New York from time to time, but he can take a plane and travel. So once a year, he will come to the United States and say hello to friends and family that are left in the US. So, of course, he is mentioning that one of the things that he finds fantastic in the UK is the amount of shortwave signals is greater than in the United States. He says every time he goes to the US, he finds that there's really not that much on except those religious stations. He gets back to the UK and he comes back to signals from the BBC and many other stations, including all of the relays from the different European stations. So Jerry says that he has a little list of questions that he'd be interested in knowing my answers to. And also, he wants to thank me for what I do because he really loves the live shows. He's been listening for more than a year and he enjoys them every time. He says that he does not participate much. He's a little shy and he likes to be in his home little bubble, but he enjoys watching and he watches the chat room and reads all the comments. He finds that the interaction is fantastic and that people are just great. Thanks for all you do. And here is my list of questions. And my eyes are burning. One of, when you mix, there's a mix of like your sweat and your that goes into your eye or something. It's like it stings from the it stings from the salt, I guess. So okay, so welcome aboard, Jerry, and of course it's nice to have feedback. Well, we know email feedback is fun when when people don't participate because there's a lot more people watching than actually people that participate and interact, and so this is kind of fun because that interaction not being there. When somebody sends me an email, at least it gives us a interesting side of who's listening, and it adds another dimension to people that are often quiet but now that are there. So what else do we have? Paul, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. Man, that is really, really annoying. I'm crying, guys. Ah, God. Okay. Zen Farrows, nice to have you here, following along with the FRG7 and AirSpy HF Plus. Dr. Sisop is in London, UK. Mixed Radio International, nice to have you on board. Haven't heard you on the air for a little while. What else? The Wind 1960 is listening to Trenton on sling dipole about 12 feet out of the ground. Michael says this is a great show. What else do we have? Like their sysub, yeah, 4996. You mean for the RWM? It's 4996 for the frequency. Greg, nice to have you on board. Watching YouTube 12-volt vids as a Sony ICF 7600 multi-band shortwave. Cool. Yep, CHU is actually CHU had a pattern. It was off on the day of the storm, and on Sunday it came back with tones. So there was a signal there. So the transmitter, the antenna seemed to be okay. All frequencies had the same thing, which was a signal with a tone, but no time announcements and at all. So um, from what I see, that is that the from what I see is that there was an announcement that they actually can't get to the station. I don't know if now they could, but they couldn't get to the station. So the next day, and since yesterday, that signal with the two tones is gone. So they probably shut off the transmitters since they're not transmitting anything. Then they said that they are looking into the issue of what exactly is happening. So basically. So what else do we have? Jason V9 JMC shortwave is dying is making Jill upset. So yeah, no headphones. Well, I put the headphones on when I want to play something, but when I don't play anything, I don't have the headphones on because even if I had the headphones on, actually, it would not change anything. I would not have noticed unless I look at the screen that the audio was not there. So basically, that's what's happening. So hopefully CHU will be back soon on the air. Fast load Wi-Fi sucks over there. Yeah, and when you get out of big cities, it gets really, really. It is really, really something that is a little more difficult to get a solid connection. Joseph Dusac can confirm no CHU. The storm must have knocked it out. 60,000 households still without power in Ottawa. Yeah, here in Quebec, I think they said there were still something like 30 or 40,000 people without power still. So basically. Zen Flowers has Spain on 11,940. Doug Smith, have you tried any of the mobile ham radios that can be used in cars? Well, I don't have a car, so mobile rigs are not really what I go to when I go to look for something, but they still can be used in a portable operation, which is nice. So I'm looking anyways into probably having some kind of portable rig that I can bring along easily with me. Basically, just I'm gonna take a second, guys. All right, I'm gonna check something here. Okay, we're back. Okay. James Farley has RWM on 9997. Let me try. Let's see if 9996 comes in tonight here in Montreal for the. Oh yeah, and it's strong too. 9996 RWM time signal pips. Very, very good from Moscow, Russia here. 9996 if you guys want to listen in. Zen Ferreros, RWM 9996 coming in better than WWV. It could be a line going to the farm. It could be a lot of stuff happening, actually. Jeff King, nice to have you on board from Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, maybe, but I'm not sure because the first day when they got off, there was no signal at all. So I don't know if they have generators for the transmitters or not. So I don't know if they have any form of generators for transmitting. Because I'm wondering if they might, since it was um, since it was sending out just tones. Maybe somebody said like just why waste energy? Why waste power? The time that we fix it. V2FGJ, thumbs up, shell continuing despite sneezing, allergies, eye crying. Yeah, it's not much allergies. I'm not that bad in the allergy side, but I do have regular sneezing. You know what happens is I when I pet Paul the cat a lot, I usually will have this rush of sneezing and it lasts for half an hour and then it goes away. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just check out something for the email. Make sure that nobody is. Okay, this is good. Nothing on the email except for that. So we have the questions, of course, we're going to go to on Jerry. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. And here are the fast time pips for RWM. Very fast time pips. Okay, let's continue here. RWM transmitting in AM mode here. Well, actually, it's sending I think it's A1X is the type of transmission that they're using. So it's heard easily even on an AM mode receiver. But Kong Lives got it here, but greetings from Lima, Peru. Nice to have you here. James Farley, RWM on 14997. Also, let's try it out here. 14996. Anything there? Yep. 14996 also here. 14996 and 9996, which is stronger. And also 4996. This doesn't happen very often. I hear it on all three frequencies: 4996, 9996, and 14996. The weakest is 4996, followed by 14996, and the strongest, of course, 9996. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. BZN RLD, no power, good DXing. Yes, indeed. Liminal, nice to have you here from Los Angeles, California. So on an AM radio, you'll hear the pulses for sure, but it's not AM mode that they're transmitting officially on. Here in Montreal, we didn't have anything with the storms. Really, it's like the weather satellite picture was amazing. It was like stormy like crazy south of Montreal, stormy like crazy north of Montreal, but Montreal was like in this zone where nothing bad was happening. So here in Montreal, it's just it's just all right. The spring reverb, yeah, reminds me of my the spring reverb on my Marshall amp. Yeah, here it's getting dark. It's still a little bit of light, but it's mainly dark now outside the Dr. Sisson. Ron Champagne VE7 BFM. Do you think an Icom 7300 is as good or better than a decent shortwave listening radio? I like the older radios, but I'm interested in sensitivity. An ICOM 7300 will do a fine shortwave receiver, honestly, without any problem. I know a lot of people that use their 7300s to actually have listening to shortwave. What else do we have? Keegan DXer, he is doing it with the Ethon Grundig Edition Field BT. Then Pharaohs 9730 Radio Romania. The PBRSTG, nice to have you here. $9667 and Pharaohs is that off frequency station Vos Misonaria, something like that is the. Let me just check the schedules. It's on 9666.7 or something like that. Oh, and by the way, the IBI space schedule has been updated yesterday. That's cool. So it's a Voz Missionaria that is from Brazil on that frequency. On well, now it's reported on 9667.1, and usually makes it quite well here in the northern hemisphere. Victory Cruz, nice to have you here from Colombia. Pretty cool to have you here. Chris, G7VEO, is Paul the cat molting fur? Yes, a lot. It's getting warmer, so he's losing a lot of it. Take care, Fast Load. Stay safe. Gabriel, nice to have you here from Uruguay, SCX32SWL. Paul says no RWM in Southwest Michigan. Take care, Randall. No problem, John Beckham. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. Mike WDX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Just watched one part of the stream. Hopped over when it ended. What else do we have? Sun Pharaohs was already mentioned spring reverb. My wife just replaced the reverb tank on her Fender Blues Junior today. What else do we have? V2FDJ, yeah. Well, with any radio, antenna placement, type of antenna, lowest noise possible. All of that is important. Bruce Corbett, N9BH, are Russian time singer stations something newer? Nope, they've been there a long time. They've been there for a long time. It's just that they're not very strong. I believe they are 4 kilowatts, so that's not very strong for a time station. And they're very close to WWV, so it makes it very difficult for a lot of people to actually copy them correctly. I suspect a lot of people actually heard RWM without even knowing that it was there. The first time that RWM actually, for me, that I noticed that it was a station that existed is I was tuning around WWV and I heard this weird fast time pips that was kind of interfering with it, and I was very curious, and I didn't know back then of the Russian time signals. So I started looking on the on Google what I could be hearing, and I noticed that 9996 was the place where the signal pips were going on, and that's where I learned many years ago that RWM time signal from Moscow existed. I didn't know that before. Daniel Marc Leblanc, Just got on a few minutes ago. I missed the info on the channel you were referring to. Was it 4996? It's not a Russian spy. It's a time signal. 4996. 9996 is stronger here. And 14996 CW is the RWM Moscow time signal station. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. And then I'll still take a Fender over a Marshall. Well, I have a Fender Stratocaster on a Marshall valve state, which is it's a Marshall 8080 valve state, which is half transistorized and half there's a tube in it for also the tube sound. Yeah, 5900, Dr. Sisov, you might be hearing Brother Stare broadcasting from Bulgaria. John Beckham is getting WWV in 20,000 kilohertz in Northeast Florida. Shane from Minnesota, W0NKA. Great call. Matt says RWM 14996 copyable here. 9996 is not. WWV, not good here in London. Been here a week already. What else do we have? Take care, Alan. Stay safe. What else? Brad, nice to have you on board from Texas and 5LUL, WA5192 is WL. Gabe's radio channel, what are you saying? If you're not happy, you just get the F out. That's all. Okay, so we've got the questions from our friend. We got the questions from our friend Jerry that lives near London in the UK. 4980 should technically be possibly WRMI. They're on 4980 this time. Just 4980. Yeah. It's WRMI normally. Starts at 0 UT, so it should have been, it's been an hour now. So it's probably Brother Stare. Good chances are it's Brother Stare, but that's what we have on 4980 here. Is WRMI. There's a lot of the WRMI frequencies that are mistaken for some tropical exotic stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of people are getting kind of a little surprised because they're like, oh, there's something exotic on 4980. No, it's not. Especially when they're in Spanish. It's like, oh, there's some Spanish station 4980. It must be some South Americans. Like, no, it's WRMI. Sorry. 5010 also 5010 is another one that a lot of people mistake for some exotic DX. Metal Lunar, thanks for reviewing those cheap weather band portables recently. Everyone should have one for emergencies, and it's good to know which ones are any good for emergencies at least. Yeah, I actually saw something that I am possibly going to order. It's a pack of 5 different weather emergency radios. They're portables like I was showing, but I thought, you know what, if in there something, one of the models is good enough, well, maybe, having one of those on the house if something happens, it's kind of cool. So, so as I am at the bottom of the chat, we're going to actually answer Jerry's question. Let me go to the mail here. So first question that he's got is, why are there more stations to listen to in Europe than in North America? I can't figure out why people would want people can't figure out why stations want to broadcast to Europe more than to North America. Is there a reason? Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. There's definitely more stuff to listen to in Europe, but is it more than in North America for the general transmissions of stations that are broadcasting? So we talk about stations. So one of the reasons why the bands look a little more empty in North America is that a lot of stations are not broadcasting to us anymore. And the fact they're not broadcasting to us anymore means that we are in a state where we have to listen to the broadcasters that are broadcasting more towards, Africa or Middle East and so on. And that means we hear them, and we hear a lot of them. But the problem is the signals are weaker. If in North America, anybody that takes a radio out where it's really quiet and spends a whole day listening, you'll notice that there's actually a lot of stuff on the bands. But for a lot of us, it's washed out because of the noise level. Here I see it because even though I do have some form of reception, I mean, I'm capable of getting RWM, which is kind of nice. But RWM would be easier if I went to the park with a little portable because the noise wouldn't be there. So I'd hear it even better than I'm hearing it here. So in North America, one of the things is not a lot of stations are broadcasting towards us. And there's a lot of the stations that are washed out because of the high noise level. Makes it more difficult. If I think about who is broadcasting to Europe, so there's, like here in North America, there's a few private broadcasters that are, there's a few private broadcasters that are in the there's a few private broadcasters. Sorry, I just wanted to do a little something. That are broadcasting to Europe. There's a few broadcasters in Europe that are sending signals to Europe. But overall, there's not that many stations broadcasting to Europe. So why are you hearing more stations in Europe? It has to do with the positioning of Europe on the world map. A lot of it has to do with that. In Europe, you can hear the BBC very easily. Why? If the BBC broadcast, if you look at a map, when the BBC broadcasts from Ascension Islands in the South Atlantic to West Africa, it's actually broadcasting towards Europe. It really is broadcasting towards Europe. So you are in the pattern of that transmission. And it's true for a lot of broadcasts. There's also positioning that helps a lot with signals from Asia. You hear a lot more of those easily compared to here in North America, where a lot of the West Coast might hear them well, but a lot of, like here on the East Coast, forget it. The Asian signals are tough. So it all has to do with the positioning of Europe on the world map. The fact that a lot of the beams of stations, even though they're not meant for Europe, are crossing or going towards Europe. All of that, plus the stations, private stations that are there, like from Germany, shortwave service, and so on, means in Europe, shortwave bands are kind of all really, really nice and full of signals because the positioning's there. It's like you guys are hearing it and are having it much easily or easier than us. When I hear somebody in Europe saying, well, I miss the days of a lot of signals. Well, you should spend a month in North America. You'll be happy to go back to Europe. I can tell you that. So a lot of stations, a lot of stations you hear in Europe because of that. That the transmitter sites also. You're closer to a lot of the transmitter sites that broadcast towards Africa. For example, lower frequencies, Radio France, I noticed in Europe is all over the place because the transmitter site is in Issoudun, France. So all the neighboring countries, especially on the lower frequencies, are all hearing, even though it's the signal might be on the backside of the antenna. You're hearing that easily because you're close to the transmitter. So all of that makes Europe a kind of nice place to be for shortwave, with a lot more interesting and easy to hear. For the rest, I don't know. I would, because question number 2 goes with question number 1. So question number 2 is, where I live, noise level is fairly low. When I go visit my parents in New York, noise level is very high. Is the noise level lower in Europe in general than it is in North America? I would not say that. I would not say that. I would not say that there's less noise in Europe, because I think noise goes with the size of a city, goes with, of course, how advanced the technology is where you live. So European countries, and the big cities of these European countries probably have as much noise that we have here. But where you live in a suburb in your email. And so everybody that lives in a suburb tends to have less noise than anybody living in the big center of the city. I'm smack in the middle of the island of Montreal here, a little on the east side, but still I'm in the big city. It's more difficult here than somebody that lives on the South Shore, where the houses are spaced more and all of that. So it's really a question of, your noise floor where you are is lower. But if you'd live like in central London, I'm pretty sure you'd go crazy on the noise like you would go in New York. But there's still something in play here that still contributes to making things better. Even if your noise floor is higher, once again, your signals, because of the patterns in the transmissions towards Europe, because of the Europe where it is positioned on the map, means even if it have higher, if it was higher in noise, you'd still get more signals that would actually go through that noise because they're stronger. So like the BBC on say the BBC on 15400 broadcasting to Western Europe, to West Africa, sorry, is very strong in Europe. Even if it's noisy, you get a decent signal. Here in North America, that same signal is much weaker. We're on the fringe of that transmission. Higher noise, fringe of the transmission, making the signal level lower, equals we're getting it's a tough job to hear anything. But I think big cities, Asia, and wherever you live, big cities are probably noisy. There are probably some quiet or more quiet locations. I'd be interested to see, like in Africa, for example, if we go there, where, okay, there are big cities, but technologically they are maybe a little behind on many ways on many of the African countries. You might find that the noise floor is actually much lower in a lot of the places there. It all goes with the size of cities. It all goes also with the economic development of the country. The richer a country, the more noise it'll get. I'm pretty sure we can put it in a scale of, I'll do the first essay on economic development and noise floor. That'd be an interesting one. So kind of interesting. Before we continue on the questions, and they are very interesting questions, I gotta say. Let's just continue the chat room. I'm going to go down. What else do we have? What else do we have? Jeff King getting a little something on 9996 on the PL880. Cool. Joe, someone new house. Nice to have you here from Brazil. And now he's an MLA30 user too. Cool. Hope you're enjoying and having fun with that. Jason V9JMC. Not many shortwave stations have the antenna pattern targeting North America. Bigger and more diverse audience in Europe. But you know what? It's not really, honestly, because when you look at who transmits to Europe, there in the end, there's really not much more people broadcasting to Europe than there are people broadcasting to North America. It really has to do way more with the location that actually makes them a target of the broadcasts, even if they're not the prime target of the broadcasts. Like I was giving as an example, the BBC from Ascension Islands broadcasting to West Africa. Well, it just goes to Europe. It's the same direction. Paul, was 6925 USB get posted yet? One parrot via HFU. Let me try if we hear anything here on 6925. 6925. Not getting anything on 6925. Not getting anything here. Actor says I've got some FME skip earlier today on 62.2 and 71.3. Mita Lunar, I always thought the transmissions were meant more for a third world and you could just incidentally get them better in Europe rather than here. Well, there's a lot of that because there's a lot of the stations, a lot of the stations are broadcasting towards, places that need news. Not necessarily third world countries. It could simply be politically complicated countries where decent news might not get through. So shortwave is a way to do it. So, but it's kind of part of it is that. Joseph Nusari got more in Europe because Asia and Africa are target areas. Also have a lot of broadcasts in the Middle East to expats in Europe. Ron Seal, welcome back from Saint-Hubert. What else do we have? Jason Francis, nice to have you on board. Having a relaxing night in Ottawa. Hope everything is all right in your part of the world. Hector Sisop gets France on AM here normally at night, and Netherlands and Belgium. Andy New, yeah, all has to do with a lot. Has to do with propagation. Leo Main, nice to have you on board. Waiting for work to start. Raining very hard. John Beckham is here in Spain, 17855 in Northeast Florida. Yep, it is an interesting question, Liminal. Absolutely. Jason says New York equals noise capital of the world. Well, Montreal is a pretty good one too, I'm going to say. Depends where you live. Mike WX50, less noise in Antarctica. Well, it'd be interesting to have a radio there to tune in. But if you look at one of the example is the Arctic SDR, Kiwi SDR from what is it? It's in Norway, where the noise floor is quite low. I mean, there's tons of signals there. Even here, look at in Alberta, the signals that are receiving the QSDR in Alberta, in Lamont, Alberta, with the antenna farm there that's extensive and far from noise. Lots of stuff. Everything. You hear everything there. I would suspect that in good times of propagation, if you had a radio in Antarctica, you'd hear, because of the low noise floor, you'd hear so much signals from everywhere crossing and going through. His radio channel. Well, there's not a lot of HD radio stations in New York. Honestly, most of them are turned off. There's pretty much not. There's actually not a lot of all of it. That's not that much to listen to. Thank you, V2FGJ, for the nice little tip. But even if there's not a lot of stations beaming Antarctica, just because of the very low noise floor, you'd be hearing a lot of those signals crossing over. Remember that stations from, an example, in Antarctica, you might hear France broadcasting towards Africa. It's just continuing all the way south to Antarctica. So you might be surprised what you can hear. It would be a great experiment and interesting to check out. Joseph Nissan, most electrical utilities in the UK are buried. Overhead lines have a dampening effect. Patrick, Radio Nacional Arizona, 11780. Great signal into Eastern Washington. Jim Howard, nice to have you here from Fort Worth, Texas, and 0UWY. Sir Maximus Hardwood, nice to have you here. Canning Glass says HDDAV is relevant to shortwave anyhow. Rickshaw Jack, noise floor is down to 2S2 because I unplugged my washing machine. Noises from everywhere. 0-100, nice to have you here from New Jersey, KD2ANN. John Beckham, always enjoyed listening from 15,000 to 18,000 in the early morning hours here on the east coast of Florida. As Far East rolls in well, WWV coming in on 25,000 kilohertz now. So, kind of cool. With the high solar activity, it's really, really nice to see what we're getting on the signals. Thank you, Mike WX50, for a nice little tip. It's much appreciated. Shannon Volmet, 13264 upper sideband. Take care, Bruce. It's nice to have you on board. Sean Finnegan, my father-in-law gets good noise-free reception in southern Brazil. Randy, 11785. What language? And where are you located, Randy, by the way? 11780 is Brazilian Portuguese. At this time, 11785 would be... There's nothing at this time on 11785. So I would think that if you are listening and it sounds Portuguese, the filters might be too wide, and you might be hearing 11780 Radio Nacional Arizona, Randy. Take care, Kong lives. Radio Yankee, my noise floor improved when the downstairs tenant split. Yeah, sometimes it has to do with next door neighbors that you have nothing you can do about, I definitely have more noise since the new neighbors moved downstairs here. Jim Sparley, will co-phasing 2 MLA30s improve the signal? I don't know. You'd have to try it. I actually have a loop antenna here that I still didn't have time to set up that I need to set up. It's actually looking at me right now. So I need to check to take care of that and install it and try it. It's been sent by a fan of my channel. What else we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Many pirate stations here on longwave AM FM. Oh, in Europe. Europe is crazy. Pirate stations in Europe. And, I'm amazed. I'm totally amazed at the fact that there's 24 hours pirates in Europe and nobody does anything about it. It's in North America, that would not be possible. They would get caught. But in Europe, Netherlands. I think Netherlands is what the pirate country in the world. It's like it's just crazy all you got there, and I am amazed at the amount of pirates that can be on 24 hours a day. It's pretty crazy. Then Pharaohs, and you know what the CW signal is on 8432. So you have around that range TAH. So that might be what you're hearing. There's TAH from Istanbul, Radio Istanbul in Turkey. And I'll try it here, which should be technically 8431. And I'm going to tell you if that's it. Da 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 da. That's 4. That's 4XZ. 4XZ. I'm on 8431 upper sideband. That is 4XZ out of Israel. Yeah. For XZ out of Israel on 8432. And actually, if you switch down to 8431, you hear TAH Turkey. So 8431 CW, TAH Radio Istanbul in Turkey. Yep. 8432. Yep, 4XZ. And 8432, and it's not listed here. That's interesting. It's almost if it's a new frequency for 4XZ in Israel. So 4XZ Israel on 8432 and TAH Radio Istanbul Turkey 8431. They are both marine stations or marine channel markers that sometimes has traffic. 8432 4XZ from Israel sometimes starts sending out groups of 5 letters. Keegan the Extra had noise on shortwave from a printer I left on once until I turn it off, and then you notice that it's off. Liminal says my laptop MacBook Pro power connector is super noisy. I often run laptops on battery power when I listen to the radio because there's less noise. Yep, TH 8431 is Morse code and some what's that digital mode? Some I'm trying to remember what's the digital mode that they sent to, but it's Radio Istanbul. Jason Francis, what is the best? Whoops, I lost the question. Here we go. What's the best thing we can do to keep shortwave stations on the air? Send them reception reports, not reception reports. Send them emails. Let them know you're listening. That's what keeps stations on the air. What makes stations? There's two things that make stations go off the air. Okay. Um, it There's the audience. If you write to them, and the more people write to them, the more they know people are there. That's going to keep them on the air. If you don't write and nobody ever sends reports, then they're going to say, well, there's no audience. Why are we continuing to do this? What might keep off the air is aging transmitters. An example of that is, and it was posted yesterday in the Facebook group, the high whining pitch on Voice of Turkey transmissions is a pitch that goes with a transmitter that is defective. And I hear that regularly. And actually, WWCR had one transmitter go bad last winter, and they actually had to change a tube. When that happens, it is scary because it means that the transmitter starts to wear out and needs to be repaired. And we lose a lot of shortwave stations because of that. So many stations would still be on the air if their transmitters would have held up and still be working. What happens to one point is they look at the cost of repair, the cost of staying on the air versus what it offers. It's very subjective. Shortwave has a big problem, and it's, why am I broadcasting to some people over the other side of the ocean or the other side of the world? What does it add? What does it give me? And unfortunately, there's a lot of misunderstanding of what and how shortwave is used, and that is a big problem. So what happens is that stations will have bad transmitters, and what's going to happen is going to end up with, well, is it worth it to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix this for, I don't even know if people are listening. So, write to them. I think it's the only way we can keep them on the air is let them know you're listening. No reception reports necessarily. Just saying, I am listening. I am there. Please stay on the air. I love your programs. Give them details of what you're listening to and so on. Yep, ferrites can help with noise, definitely, Liminal. John Beckham, is it true that a dot matrix display on a radio generates more noise? All displays pretty much generate some form of noise, but it's all in the shielding. So when the radio is well shielded, its display is well shielded, it shouldn't make noise or interfere. But there's a lot of radios that, if you notice, the ATS 909X2 is one. Put your hand over the display, hear the noise kind of increase in it. The display kind of creates a bit of noise. It's the processing of the display. But in a good radio where that is actually shielded well, it usually is not a problem. Zen Pharaohs, co-phasing MLA30 can work if they are far apart, since they are only directional by a null. It is not easy to use the MLA30 as a noise antenna. Yeah. Storms, Radios, and Cats. Nice to have you here from stormy central Kentucky. Cooliam Radio. Nice to have you here, Andre, from the Netherlands. Daniel Mark LeBlanc just put in a switch box on two of my favorite radios connected to the favorite loop antenna. Thanks for all the great videos. Thank you very much. Hope that it's helping a lot of people. Zenfaros got something else in 8431. CW is really on 8432. Yep. 8431 is, like I said, TAH Turkey. 8432 is faster. It's by ear, I can decode 4XZ. Division 17, nice to have you here. And Mark LeBlanc, when I scan in wideband, it always seems to go back to narrowband. Is that normal? With what? With what receiver? Does it do that? What else do we have? What else do we have? Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you on board from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Long time no see. Been pretty busy lately taking photography in school. I haven't had a lot of time for shortwave. So, and how's the ham radio course going? Your license? Mike WX50, it seems like we haven't had more than 2 sunny days in a row for many months. Wow, here it's been not too bad, actually. Carl Icon, can HFDL be decoded? Yeah, there's a software that does it and gives the positioning and information. But I don't, at the top of my head, I don't remember what the name of the software is. I think there's a Black Cat system app that does it also. Well, that's not going to help because it's none of your business, Dr. Sisop, to tell somebody to remove or not Brother Stare, but the station itself. You're better in production, and it's more positive to send them what you want to listen to than what you don't want to listen to. Candy Gloss, my desktop PC is super noisy. If I'm DXing outdoors, I outright turn it off, though that's rare these days. I've found a couple of good spots. Yeah, and some are much noisier than others. It's really crazy. John Beckham, 8432 is weak on my Seawood on R108 in Northeast Florida. And Pharaoh's two others, 8438.6, 8439.5 North Morse, some other CW since these 8438.6. Yeah, I see it on my display. That's RTTY. Yeah, that's radio teletype. That's radio teletype. Zanfaros. Richard Califano, nice to have you here. WA2157 SWL in Albany, New York. So busy with the new puppy. Took the PL368 fishing last week. What a difference in noise. So much better. Yep, definitely. Hola, Urban Exploration Mexico. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Hope you are well, my friend. What else do we have? Let me check it out. Adesh Mankar Rankimson. Nice to have you here from Trinidad in the Caribbean. Nice to have you here, my friend. Listen, Francis, thank you. We get busy, not just sending reception reports, but writing to the stations. Yeah, because it's nice to send reception reports, but stations today don't really need that. There's so many ways stations today are capable of knowing if their signal is good or not in a location, and so it's better to write to them, not necessarily sending a reception report. More of like, I hear your station, and it's I like your programs. Give details, show them that you are listening. So do give details that they can relate to, that you will actually, that you are listening. They will know you're listening for real and that you enjoy the programs. The more they get that, the more the stations will stay on the air. Cooling in 9500 USB still on air. I haven't heard that one in a while. It's 9500 upper sideband there right now. Definitely is. And it's really good. With Urta Kit. That Urta Kit song playing right now in a very disco-like environment. Sounds like some kind of bar, but very strong. 9500 upper sideband Pirate is there. Yep. It's coming in well here. Definitely some dance music there. What else do we have? Eton Grundig Satellite 750. Could be. That's interesting. Just that could simply be the radio itself switching, depending on what you do. Each radio has its own glitches. So sometimes some radios do a weird thing and switch by default to some different modes depending on what you do. If you move on to, from single sideband to AM mode and so on, it might keep the same default. So it's not impossible that it defaults to a certain bandwidth. James Farley, Amtor. Yes, Amtor. That's it for TAH. Urban Exploration Mexico, very hot, 30 Celsius. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, not bad here. We're going to get 30 Celsius this week. We're going to get, not this week, next week. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, 30, 32. So, unknown, a very cheap radio for listening to the shortwave stations. However, during the daytime in the 60-meter band, it interferes with local medium wave broadcasts. Is it because it's cheap? There are several things that can happen if you're close to very powerful AM radio stations. Even a good radio might actually exhibit some AM local medium wave stations that will actually be there because you'll hear their harmonics. So if a station, say, is on 800, you might hear its harmonic on 1600, and you might hear another harmonic on 3200, and so on. Or multiples, depending on the station that you're tuned to. If stations are not that strong, it's definite that some radios that are not as expensive do exhibit all sorts of overload problems of any kind. But I suspect by what you're telling me that you might be living not too far from a couple of medium wave stations, probably. Dr. Sysop 9500 is not out there. Clean Radio, Chill Radio, and USB 9500. It's coming in really well here. Chill Radio with some dance music. Storm Radios and Cats. I used to record music off of Dish Network music channels on the stereo VHS, VCR. Man. Tostenloaf, nice to have you here. Gabe, what new radio? You mean the one from Ethon? I will be happy when I see it. I will be happy when I see it. John Beckham, 9490 is a radio. What's the station name? Radio. It's to Cuba. It's not from Cuba. It's what you hear on 9490 is actually broadcast from France. It's Radio Republica. So this is actually what's technically a clandestine station that is broadcast from Issoudun, France, towards Cuba. Towards Cuba. So that's radio, like I said, Radio Republica. It is a clandestine station towards Cuba. Adesh Manhar says there's a site where you can tune into shortwave and medium wave. They actually had a radio with actually a tuning dial. It had a display, and it is not an SDR. There are some sites like global tuners that have that. Be careful, Doctor Sisop, what you who you remove. Kenny Glass, I get harmonics from local AM oldie station that has a repeater nearby during the day. It's annoying. I had that problem here when I had the problem here. The Iation station started on 1610 kilohertz. It was about 2 kilometers away. And even though it was not super powerful, it had 1 kilowatt. It was so close that I could hear it. So it was on 1610. I could hear it on 3220. And I could hear its third harmonic on what is it? 4830. So it's like, whoa. What else do we have? Yeah, pre-selector, or just you can use a band, like, a filter to remove the medium wave band. By removing the medium wave band, you will actually have a radio that won't have that overload. Coolium radio, 9500 USB piece, so S79 here in the Netherlands. Wow. Peaks, yeah. Darn correction. Radio Geek 9500, loud in central Pennsylvania. Yeah, Keegan DXer. Even I'm very, very careful when I do something, because the chat moves, and you don't want to click on the wrong person when you do an action. And I can totally understand it can happen by accident, for sure. Solitary radio listener from Southern Illinois, nice to have you here. Candy Glass got an harmonics from oldie stations up to 20,000, but I think the repeater antenna is just like just up the road from me. Yeah, you're really close. The stations when stations when you're very, very close, you can hear their harmonics like really well. So, okay, if we look, I'm back down the chat. Go back to the email here from Jerry. So his next question. So his first question was about the number of stations in Europe. Then we had the third question, which is, I have noticed that many radios in Europe are radios that I recognize but have a different brand name. Is that something that happens often on radios? Why do companies have different brand names for the same exact radio in North America and in Europe? This happens a lot. It happens today, and it happened a lot in the past. I think it has to do with the general market of receivers. So if a particular brand is more popular in one market, they'll tend to put that brand name on it. So, for example, one that we see often in Europe is Siemens. This is one. Roberts is another one we see a lot in Europe. That here in North America, these same radios had other names, or were called St. Gian, or were called, or we got it through Radio Shack with the realistic branding on it, or Radio Shack branding on it. And I think it really just has to do with the market where it's intended. So what they do, and it's cheap. I mean, it's just printing. So all they have to do is tell, well, We're going to have them in Europe, so print the Roberts name on it. And we're going to have those in North America, put the Radio Shack name on it. But it all comes from the same factory. It's all the same thing. It's just they have most of the time chosen brand names that probably make them more familiar to the market where it's going to be sold. So if a market name isn't, it's like in Europe, Radio Shack is mostly known as Tandy. Where here, even though Tandy was something we'd see, Radio Shack was really the name that was, what we would use. So it really is a market thing. It depends on, the market, whatever market it is. So you go on Europe, in Europe, you'll have their own brands. Here, it will have our own brands. The ones that feel and sound quality, because that's what they're looking for. They're going to have a radio and they want you to feel, how can I make you feel that this radio is quality? Well, give it a name brand that people find is quality. An example this week that you guys have seen, that cheap Grundig crap that I actually was making videos with, the Traveler 2EP, 2PE, this one here, still got it close. I don't know if you guys watched the videos on this thing. It's a piece of crap. This is totally piece of crap. But it has the Grundig name on it. So what's going to happen? Somebody that goes in a store, knows nothing about radios, will be fooled into, well, there's the Longchong radio, and there's the other, I can't pronounce the name radio, but oh, look at that, there's a Grundig. This is the quality. So they're going to get this. Why? Because it's a brand that people trust. That's why brand names are bought. That's why Grundig was sold. I mean, they sold Grundig because Grundig had a very solid reputation in its name. Unfortunately, as you see in this radio and quite a few other radios, they've, messed it up. It's like the radios sold with that are not quality. So it really has to do with the market, basically. The other question that our friend Jerry has is about stations that have gone over the years. One of the questions that he's asking is, of all the stations that have gone from shortwave, any of them are on the internet? Is there a place I can actually listen to them? Well, there is a couple of stations. There are a couple of stations that have maintained a web presence, but it's far from being whatever it was. An example: Radio Canada International for a long time had its web presence. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people are listening to that. Most stations that left. They just left. Radio Norway, gone. Radio Sweden, for a while, they had a daily podcast, which I believe is now a weekly podcast in some kind of, it's more of a English news side channel, basically, that you can go to. But, like Radio Netherlands is a station that left. They just left. I think a lot of the shortwave stations are and here we're talking about the typical shortwave station that is there to give a shortwave audience a program, because it's very different than the local audience. An example, you will be able to listen to Radio Australia online, but that Radio Australia isn't really what Radio Australia shortwave was when it had its real unique radio side for the international audience. What happens is a lot of them make the mistake of changing to the local broadcaster. So Radio Australia became much more dependent on the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. And what happens is that you lose the essence of what shortwave broadcasting is all about. So most of them, when they left, they left. The only ones that stay or can be listened to are the really big, I'd call them the big networks that are some of the most important networks on shortwave. So, for example, the BBC World Service has everything on the internet. You'll hear Radio France, most of its programs on the internet. You'll hear, because those are beyond just shortwave broadcasters. They are global media stations, I'm going to call them. So when you're a global media station, you are in a different position. So you might remove or you might lower shortwave broadcasts, but you'll still maintain a internet presence of your broadcasts. The BBC is one, and yeah, I prefer listening to the BBC on shortwave, and I often do. But if I can get it, I'll listen to the BBC NewsHour through, an internet stream. Actually, I'm not even listening to an internet stream. My HD radio that I've got, I can listen to the BBC through the NPR station on HD3. So it's kind of cool. But most stations that left just left. And the stations that are intended for a international audience with their own programming are not the ones that are going to be on the internet once they shut down. And what happens is that and I still remember the email, or the not the email, but the mailbag show of I believe it was Radio Prague or Radio Slovakia. If you notice, if for those that have been in a while, is that Radio Slovakia, Radio Prague were broadcasting from their own transmitter sites, and the Czech Republic and Slovakia, they left shortwave, but they came back through relays, and they came back, I don't know, 6 months to a year later in relays. And one of the questions that was asked about that was, why did you come back to shortwave? And this gives you the general idea that nobody listens to broadcasts on the internet. The mailbag show, the guy there said, we came back through WRMI because when we left shortwave, we noticed that we lost all of our audience. That the audience that listened to us was not listening to the internet podcasts. Very little did. And they said, we understood that we had to come back, but they did it in a way that is very cost effective, renting airtime through WRMI. So, it all depends on what is your audience and in the shortwave sphere, basically, because that's all where it happens. Let's check the chat room a little bit here before we continue with the questions. Let me just go down. Okay, Paul Sontag, nice to have you on board from British Columbia. Can a Cuban station really be effective? I mean, how many Cubans would have a receiver capable of getting it? If you're talking of the Radio Republica broadcasts, I think there's a lot more shortwave radios than we actually know in Cuba, because we don't have numbers. That's definite. But we know that the Cuban media is focused on Cuba and on Cuban affairs, on Cuban way of thinkings. What happens is that if you look at Radio Marti, which is a lot of money spent for broadcast to Cuba, we have that Radio Republica that broadcasts towards Cuba. I think they know that there's an audience, and there is a certain number of people that is listening. And it's a way for them to get some outside news. Because in Cuba, you're getting what the Cuban government wants you to hear. So, unfortunately, there is no number. That's the big problem. That's the big problem about shortwave, and also why it's complicated. That's why it's a problem, about audience numbers and knowing if somebody's listening in. We don't really have exact numbers from shortwave, but definitely there must be some people listening in Cuba. That's for sure. What else do we have? James Farley, my R5000 can be computer controlled. Yeah, the Kenwood R5000 has computer control capabilities. What else do we have? Candy Glass. Yeah, Tandy was more often used in the name of Radio Shack computers, and that definitely. When the computers became popular, Tandy was more. We'd see the Tandy name a lot more. Uncle Justin, KB2RMC. Nice to have you here from Finger Lake regions of New York State. Storm radios and cats I have to run on 87.9, 87.7 FM band congested here. Okay, for the low power. Tandy Corporation, aka Radio Shack. Yep, pretty much. Tenamus, I went to Radio Shack yesterday, though it was just a hobby shop using the name. Huh. Chastank, nice to have you here. Games radio channel, I hear a fire station, radio station 92.1, 92.3 outside of with my fire tablet antenna tapped onto the weather radio. Okay. Hadesh says, so it's not an SDR or so, that lost the name. Because if you go to Global Tuners is a website that controls real radios. So on Global Tuners, you have real radios being tuned, like the ICOM ICR 8500 and so on. John Beckham, yep. I remember even one of the catalogs, I believe, from the early 90s, and had that. You've got questions, we got answers, really big on the catalog for the page, the title page. Storms, radios, and cats. Conjuring G3 has great reception, but the keypad went crap in 2 years. Archive.org for old shortwave programs that has closed down in the past. Harvey Funkenstein says, no fun listening to them on the internet. Yep, it's not the same thing for sure. Dr. Sisop, I wonder if Hawaii still have their shortwave stations. Yeah, I know that what is it? What was the KVOH? No, what was it? What was the letters of that station? I know that they were supposed to shut it down. Yeah, a lot of people miss Radio Australia, that's for sure. WFG59, what I thought was cool when I was younger was listening to Radio Australia on New Year's Eve at 8 a.m. local, 13 UTC, celebrating New Year's. Yep. Lots of great souvenirs, Radio Australia, can tell you that. Queen Radio is 76 to 87 megahertz are used by pirates in the Netherlands. Take care, Greg. See you on Saturday. No problem. Solitary radio listener, old Voice of Greece comes back to shortwave sometime in the future like it used to be. Yeah, they're still on that schedule from, what is it? 9420? at a reduced schedule right now, which is from 13 to 17 UTC, Monday to Friday. So they're Monday to Friday, 13 to 17 UTC. I guess the real test will be next week, as next week will be June 1st, actually, next week on Wednesday. Pretty crazy. If Greece is not in that schedule anymore, I guess they'll be gone, because they had that extension until May 31st, which is next Tuesday. MDK2 Matt says radio doesn't seem to be too restricted in Cuba. I see far more hams from Cuba than a lot of other countries. Community TV guys, Radio New Zealand back on 13840 megahertz this year. Usually the switch happens sometime in June, if I'm not mistaken, but right now they're still on 15720, which has been giving a really good signal, so it's not too bad. But I don't know if they'll be back on 13840 at some point. Right now it's really 15720. So I don't know, maybe with a higher solar activity, I wouldn't be surprised that the 15720 will be the new frequency. Lord Kitchener broke down and bought a Texan H501 to go with his old Sony ICF 2010. Cool. The old and the new together. That's cool. Lunar, Cuba has gone through the trouble of trying to jam those broadcasts in the past, right? So the Cuban government must think people are listening. Oh, they're still using a lot of jamming. Right now they're jamming some of the WRMI frequencies. And they are jamming Radio Marti. So they know people are listening. Matt says, I released seeing Tandy Corporation on Radio Shack catalogs. I guess that was the corporation name. Yep. James Farley wants WBCQ an hour shortwave show with me. No problem with that. Yeah, KVOH is in Los Angeles, Joseph. That's what I was like. No, it's not KVOH. It's... I can't remember the call letters. John Beckham, yeah, Archer and Science Fair kits and Radio Shack, absolutely. Toast and Loaf, I have Global Radio's account, but I haven't used it in a couple of years, probably. Yeah, I haven't been at Global Tuners for a long time. Paul Sontag, no, we're not talking about the time station WWVH in Hawaii for time. There was a shortwave broadcaster in Hawaii also. I'm trying to remember the name of the calls. Tom, when will you test the cross-country wireless loop antenna amplifier? It's I actually have I bought some wooden poles and stuff to put up all of this stuff. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try the different things that I have here and the loop antenna and everything in the next couple of weeks. I'll try to set it up maybe in the back. I have to find a place. John Beckham, I believe Radio Shack was a division of Tandy Corporation out of Fort Worth, Texas. Yes, it was. It definitely was. So 9500 USB, chill radio, still there. Absolutely. Joseph Nusser says Radio Marti definitely has an audience. They get people calling in from Cuba somehow. Zenfaro, Spanish conversation with some infrequent whistling again, this time on 6563. Last time this came up through maybe Fisherman. Yeah, probably. 6563. I wonder if I hear anything here. 6563. Anything there? Oh, yeah, look at that. 6563, probably some fisherman or something like that. What else do we have? Keegan the Exter also heard BBC World Service on NPR stations 88.7 KUHF in Houston, KMUW Wichita. So pretty cool. And that Radio Shack catalog I would drool over all the time. There were a couple of catalogs in my early teenage years. There was a couple of catalogs that drool over. Radio Shack, obviously. I was the most annoying guy. I was the most annoying guy in the Radio Shack, probably in the fall, when I would go there and ask for, when will you get a new catalog? Because I wanted to have that catalog. If you guys remember, I don't know if US did that too, but I probably, because remember back in the day, and actually it was a joke. I don't know which show was a joke. I think it was in Seinfeld. I heard that joke is, why does Radio Shack ask for your full postal address when you buy batteries? And you guys remember that? You would go to a Radio Shack, you'd buy, a pack of batteries, and then ask you for your full postal address. Back in the 80s. And which was always kind of, wow, this is weird. But I then noticed one thing, is that the only year that I actually purchased enough Radio Shack stuff, the catalog was sent to me through the mail. So it's like, oh wow, I bought so much this year that they're actually sending me a catalog. But that, and of course the Sears catalog Christmas edition, which was like, I wanted to look at all the toys and the stuff in there for the Christmas Sears catalog. Boy, that was so cool to look at. And so we had several catalogs, I think, back in our older days, where we could drool over all the stuff in it. Pretty crazy. Greg on YouTube, listen to SDRs. Solitary radio listener. I've been getting some good signals on 16-meter band after 05 UT after midnight in Southern Illinois the last couple of weeks. Mostly China stations, I think. So pretty cool. Propagation is totally improved. I can tell you that. Zenfaro 6566 upper sideband. Do I see anything there? 6566. Let's try it out here. If I hear something, 6566. Anything there? Got something on 65. What's that? I've got some conversation going on 6563. But nothing on 6566. Hey guys, look at that. There's some beeps on 6618. It's actually 6619 CW. 6619 CW. It's almost like bad CW. 6619. What's that? 6619. Some very weird. It's almost as if somebody's sending some really bad CW. Canadian Radio TV Guide, there was KRHO, KYOI. There's another one that I just can't get. Yeah, the Radio Shack speakers. Yep. KYOI is in Saipan. Trying to remember. Kind of weird on 6619. That is bizarre. Michael Tool, they did that in the 70s too, way before Tenny and before Allied Radio merger. Left them in 76. Solitary radio listener, remember the Radio Shack thing they tried called the Q Cat back in the 90s, early 2000s? I believe you scanned the barcodes with the catalog with it. I don't remember that. Kenny Glass, I frequented Radio Shack in my teenage years, but honestly, it was probably more annoying at the local record shops. Would always ask them to custom order albums for me. I mean, I was mainstream music. I was mainstream music. And so they would have what I wanted to buy at the record shop. The Radio Shack, oh boy. John Beckham says, I believe that Radio Shack spent most of its money on advertising. Well, they had to. I mean, we were all drooling over everything, so we would buy stuff. And I'm sure it was very successful at it, too. It's like the advertising led people into stores. You know, Radio Shack, you guys remember what a Radio Shack looked like at Christmas? Try to get something. There were so many people there. It was like crazy. Thomas Kitts worked for Radio Shack in the early 70s, always had to ask for the full address from every customer. It was a fun job for a kid just out of high school. San Faro, 6105 and HK, overloading the air spy. Trying to get back down here. Radio TV guy says 6619 CW S5 at S3 here. Urban Exploration Mexico. Always went to Radio Shack to admire the Realistic Pro 2022, hoping my parents could buy me that radio. That never happened. Yeah, I had one of those. That was my first tabletop scanner back in the day. Sunfarrows confirm Morse like CW on 6619 that is always there, but I have no idea what it is. It's kind of weird. It's as if they're like bad CW or something. Storm radios and cats 6563, the high tech CB band. Chastank, our Radio Shack flyers always had coupons for a free 6-cell flashlight. As kids would hit several Radio Shack stores and get several free flashlights. Canadian, no, WHRI is out of is in the East Coast here. Dang. The station, let me just try to see if I can find it fast. Shortwave, caster, Hawaii. Can't find it real fast. There was a broadcaster in Hawaii that shut down recently. And so, anyways, doesn't matter. King and the Extra. Hope my dad didn't throw this out. Didn't get to read much. When I found them, they were helpful when looking for Radio Shack products on eBay. But you can go to Radio Shack. What is it? RadioShackCatalogs.com or something. Radio Shack Catalogs. Yep, you've got all of them here. RadioShackCatalogs.com. Go and check that out. You have all of the catalogs. All of the catalogs from until the end. They're all there in any format you want to see them. I checked a few. They actually do bring back a lot of memories. RadioShackCatalogs.com. Yeah, the Weather Cube at the Radio Shack, John Macon. I had one of those. I never had any of the flavor radios, but boy, they looked. I always wanted to own one. Sunflowers, never thought I'd say this, but the high dynamic range IHF-less Discovery can handle 6505 NHK, but the FRG7 can S plus 15 and FRG7 on a passive blue antenna. Gary Pence, CW on 6606.9, good CW above a valid frequency. So it's kind of a weird thing. Greg, on my mailing list, I get catalog spring summer 2022 ham radio outlet. That's cool. Canadian Radio TV guys just created an account for global receivers, so you're tuning actual receivers with this website. Yep, real radios. You're tuning real radios. Actually, that's where I wanted to put my ICOM SCRD 500 one day, for sure. Ron Sear, CGL, you make a difference. You changed our radio life. Love learning and love radios. Yeah, a lot of the scanners. There was I think some of them were made by GRE in Japan. Some of them, and not in Japan, in Taiwan, I think, and some were made in by Uniden also. Dynamius says, "Oh man, looks like my HF antenna RF chain survived a storm, even though my ADSB setup got drowned." So cool. Catalogs for universal radio. Yeah, I remember I had somewhere in the late 80s. I actually had a universal radio catalog sent to me through mail. That also was a catalog that I drooled over a lot. Then for hours, I put the FRG7 into the first attenuation mode, oddly labeled DX, and it's S plus 10. Only a full attenuation does NHK go down to S9. Yeah, that signal is always very strong. Yeah, Gil for Shortwave, James Farley. Yep, remember that. A lot of names that are gone today. Eh? Pretty crazy. Solitary radio listener currently gets catalogs from DX Engineering and Ham Radio Outlets. So it's kind of weird. 6606.9. Yeah, 6607 is that one is for XZ in Israel. I often actually I hear 6607. I hear 6607 regularly when I want to tune the Gander Newfoundland weather, and it actually shows up. I hear the Morse code and the same USB signal. Just Tank, anybody having trouble with YouTube tonight? Seems nobody has problems tonight. Zenferos, that FSK on 8438 seems like some old digital picture transmission since it has some very long periods of only one tone, maybe some ASCII art. 8438. 8438, what was that? No, that's definitely some RTTY. That's some RTTY. Radio teletype, but it's probably an encrypted radio teletype signal. John Beckham, Radio Shack Battery Club of the Month. Yep, I go and get my 9-volt battery every month. Urban Radio Exploration Mexico. Local historian recently rescued from the trash of his deceased neighbor a majestic AM tube radio from the 50s. Model Comet here made in Mexico. Still works, just needs new tubes. Wow. That will be the tough thing as radios get older with the tubes. Like WX50, 1979 Radio Shack catalog with the DX160 listed at $179.95. Oh, man. Crazy. Yep, battery demand, all of that. Pretty amazing when you think about it. Crazy. Take care, Dr. Sisup. I don't know. It could be propagation. I don't know if they're still there. I just saw something. 8.4. Very strong on 8.4. There's some Navtex transmission. 841. I'll put the camera. You guys are gonna see what it's broadcasting. 8415 upper sideband. So let's go get an FLDG here. FLDG. And let's get Navtex. Navtex. And there we go. Navtex transmission here. This is probably from Boston, Massachusetts. 8415. Hey guys, I'm gonna go fill up my glass, and while we're doing that, I'm gonna show you the screen of the Navtex decode. So here we go. Put this here. There we go. So I'm gonna go and fill up my glass. So that was some decoding. That was some decoding of Navtex transmission from Boston, possibly on the on a computer here while I filled up my drink and gave Paul the cat a little bit of food. So some Navtex, pretty cool decode there. So let me go back here. And I'm pulling something. So let's just put it like that. I need an interval signal. So that was kind of cool. So I'm just going to solitary radio listener, it's difficult to know because so it gave me 5.3 millimeters of rain. What I would really need to do actually is go, because the manual explains how to make sure that it's accurate using I think it's a cup of water and having it drip slowly, and it should show a certain amount. So I should maybe check out that procedure to make sure that it's accurate. But I love the weather station. It's really amazing. So storms, radios, and cats, no problem. Cool. I'm gonna check that. What else do we have? The name is didn't think I never picked up a Navtex, but plenty of weather facts. Yep. Actually, that frequency, 8415, if you guys want to try it, and I will try it because now I am remembering it, at 03, around 03 UT, we should have the weather station out of Iqaluit in the northern parts of Canada. Oh, it's 0330. So what's going to come up at 03? So on that frequency at 03, which is in 25 minutes, there should be L2C from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And at 0330, we should hear Iqaluit in the northern parts of Canada. So this would be interesting. On the same frequency I was tuned now in Navtex. So if you guys want to try some exotic DX Navtex style, put your radios on 8415 upper sideband. Use FLDG, and at 03 UT in 25 minutes, L2C in Argentina should be in, and there should be Iqaluit at 0330, which will be very interesting to look at also. James Binder, hello there. Nice to have you here. Did Guilford used to make digital readout devices for analog radios? Matt, that might mean 2 more hours. I don't think it's going to be 2 more hours, but Maybe we should try that Argentina in 24 minutes time. So how about we go to at least 03 and try Argentina and see if we get a decode. You guys want to try that? Toast and low, Sprite and orange juice. That's perfect. The record for a Wednesday night show, I believe I did a 4 hours once. But I did it in the winter because what happens, and this is something I'm trying to be careful, is the wall here is my next door neighbor, and that wall is extremely thin. When they talk, and don't even have to talk very loud, I can almost hear what they're saying, which means if I do a live show, they're probably hearing me talk all the time. And so that's their bedroom. So I try to kind of not go too far because I don't want to bug them with a live show that they just can't sleep because they're hearing me talk all the time. But I usually hear them when they get in the bedroom. So I, but in the winter time, because the difference in the winter and the summer is that in the winter I start at 7 p.m. local, and 4 hours means it ends at 11 p.m. But now we're summer, so we start at 8 p.m. for the 0 hours, which means 4 hours is midnight. It's a little more, a little late. But anyways, David KJ4CMY, nice to have you here from Central Georgia. What else do we have? Let me just go down. So I need an interval signal. Very station on 21.530. Let's check out 21.530, guys. I don't have anything here in Montreal on that frequency. Let's check Radio New Zealand, 15.720. Oh, New Zealand is good. It's going to get even stronger as the time goes by. But Radio New Zealand, 15.720 is coming in right now. Tosalov, are there any tutorials for how to install FLDG on an Android tablet? I don't think you can install FLDG on an Android tablet from what I know. Greg misses listening to police calls. Yeah, back in the day. That's the thing, is we take for granted things that we actually are having all the time. One of the discussions that I had with Sheldon Harvey, we're talking about how a lot of us that are active guys that do a lot of things that people watch. I mean, I'm still, young at 53, but guys like Glenn Hauser are much older, and you kind of think, we talk about Arnie Coro, that had DXers Unlimited on Radio Event at Cuba. What happens is that these guys are getting old, and so Arnie Coro we don't hear anymore because probably is, maybe he's sick or it's too old. Glenn Hauser. I just think about the day when Glenn Hauser is gonna just stop all of this because maybe he's gonna be sick or something's gonna happen. So you have these old guys that do a lot, and you're thinking, yeah, well, one day these old guys are gonna be kind of old, So it's something that I guess we got to think and not take for granted. Same with this, whatever happens, whatever would happen to life, you never know. And so we're like, there will be one day when some of you will say, oh, remember the good old days when there was that, when Joel was doing that live show from Montreal on YouTube. It was so cool. I miss that. That day will happen someday for some people. So every time we have something, and it's like shortwave radio in general, we got to know, don't take for granted the stations you're listening to. Listen to them, take the time to do so, because and write to them, like I said, because there will be one day when, oh, I miss Radio Australia, or I miss that other station, or I miss Voice of Greece, or yeah. So, as long as it's there, and as long as something's happening, take the time. Uh, what else do we have? Yeah, Iqaluit. You know what? I have not tried Iqaluit 6507 in a while. It's interesting because 6507 came in came in surprisingly well last year. It came in really late. I mean, we were in November, it was still there. I don't know if they're extending some of the schedules because the Arctic Ocean takes more time to freeze now, but it is definitely interesting. So VFF Iqaluit Radio 2235. I'm going to have to try that. I have to try to remember tomorrow to try it. Somebody's smoking weed. It's coming through the window and smelling all over the place here. It could be an image. Dave Conti, shortwave.info. Let me try it. 21530. Let me check here with the IBI space. If what radio are you using? Well, here there is if it sounds Chinese, it is CNR1 Jammer from 23 to 10 UTC, so all night pretty much. CNR1 Jammer Fire Drake is there. That's possibly what you're hearing from China, Dave. I wouldn't be surprised. What else do we have? Rob says, very considerate of you, Joe. Wish my neighbors were so respectful. Yeah. Well, I want to be a good neighbor, and I know how annoying it is when the neighbor just makes too much noise. I had for a couple of years two young college guys that lived downstairs. They would play loud music at 4 a.m. and get drunk and stoned, and it's like I just couldn't take it anymore. And they were like really annoyed because I'm the bad guy I'm the annoying bad guy because at 2 a.m. So, Canadian Radio TV Guy 21530 S7 sounds Cantonese. Yep, it's Mandarin, so it's China. CNR1 Fire Drake Jammer, or CNR1 as the China National Radio one. So that's what you guys are hearing. Solitary radio listener, get your neighbor listening to shortwave, then they will be up late catching those signals. It's so funny because there was a guy that a Bell guy that came and installed fiber optics to the house for the neighbors downstairs, and he did that in the backyard. And it's so funny because he saw my big W6LVP loop. So it's early morning, and I'm making coffee, and I'm looking outside and didn't notice there's a guy, and I'm in the kitchen in my boxer shorts. So I'm like, well, there's somebody in the balcony doing something. I'm gonna go get dressed up, and what happens is that I I got dressed up and I saw him. I saw him looking at my antenna, and he was fiddling with the wire. So I figured it's probably some bell guy. And it's so funny because he was. I opened the door and I said, "You're looking at the antenna." It says, "Yeah." He says, "Where are you trying to get here, Mars?" He says, "I've never seen an antenna like that before." And I was telling him that I was listening to shortwave radios from this a big distance, and he was like, "Oh wow, this is so interesting." Um, Richard Califano listened to the Albany Med flight last night on VHF scanner. Really cool. Mike WDX50, Glenn Hauser lives in the next state over me. Maybe I should drive over and say hi. He's a very shy guy. We tried to get him at the Winterfest. We tried to get him at the Winterfest to attend some Zoom meeting and be there. He kind of, didn't say no at first, but he didn't. He's a very shy kind of guy, and I think he's like in this. You'd rather be in his little bubble, basically. Periodic beeps 3237.6. Candy Glass, I'll live forever. I wish. Or maybe, or do I really want to? 36. So, when did he die? He died the day that the last shortwave signal existed and went off the air. 3237. Do I get anything there? Yeah, there are two. These are. I'm wondering if that's. So you have the NATO Link 11, but there's different variations of that NATO Link 11 signal. I think that's one of the new variations of it. The peeps that you see here. 3237 upper sideband, you get actually both of them together. But I think that is the new variation of the Link 11 kind of NATO signal. King and the Exter, I've heard Glenn Hauser in shortwave. He's also on the Worldwide TV FMDX Association forums. He commented on my FMDX loggings. Cool. I have to put his logs. He actually contacted me and said that he'd be glad if I take his utility logs that he has and add them to my utility column in the messenger, which I really need to do. Actually, we are the 25th. I need to get on to work on that column. I'll tell you that. Solitary radio listener, there will come a day for everyone that you do something for the last time. Yep. You gotta enjoy it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Candy Glass. Mike WX50. I mean, here in Canada, it's legal. So for what else we have? Mike WDX50. Take care and have a great time for the 2 days. And congratulations on a retirement. Two things gonna come to you when you get required. It's a weird sense of that's gonna get over you of how weird it is to leave. And the other thing is now it's a new life. You'll have new direction, more time for shortwave, maybe. else do we have? Yeah, noisy neighbors. Here it's fun because we, apart from that period, pretty much everybody's extremely quiet. It's, women women almost everywhere, so they are like really really quiet, and we don't hear a peep. And I'm actually the go-to guy every time somebody has a problem. Actually, right now I am the go-to guy because the landlord's gone for a month in vacation in Italy. So I mow the lawn and I do everything right now. And if something happens, I have all the numbers, so I'm the one that they go to. So Dave Conti using the PL880. Oh, Reed is pretty much at the same. Well, I didn't see any offense in the comments that was there. The weed comments, I had no problem with them. There was nothing offensive about it. It's not worse than me saying I'm drinking a vodka cranberry. I mean, it is. There's alcohol, and alcohol is, what do you drink alcohol for? Part of it is for depending on what it is, like, wine or whatever. It's it could be because you want to have, the taste and everything, but in general, you drink alcohol because you kind of want to get a little bit, the feeling. So I got no problem with the I got no problem with the weed stuff. Where I have a problem is on the heavy drugs. Things that are more heavier. That's a big problem. But I didn't have any problem with the comments about the weed. Urban exploration, Mexico. People think I live in a military base when they see the TGFD and my 10-meter band Yagi antennas. But honestly, it didn't. There was not a need, and for me, there was not a need for the banning for 300 seconds of that comment. It was not worth that. It was very inoffensive comment, personally, and I do think that. I mean, it's legal here. It's legal in a lot of states in the U.S. So, I mean, we got to understand that you might not do it, you might not agree with it. Like, people don't agree. I get messages from time to time saying, I don't like the fact that you're drinking alcohol on your live stream. Well, that's your opinion, and I mean, as long as it stays decent, I don't see the problem there. And I talked about weed. I did say that it smells like weed because the neighbors are doing it. So, and 6RXD. So, and like you say, it was just replying. There was nothing bad about it. Zenfaro, speaking of neighbors, when I lived in Albuquerque, once I walked into my apartment past you guys having a fist fight with their door open. Youch. So 5 minutes, guys. Do you think on 8415, put your radios on 8415 upper sideband for those that want to try it. I'm going to start FLDG. If there is something in Spanish, that means we will be receiving L2C Argentina, which I did several times in the past. So let's hope for a decent signal. Sunfaro says, I was thinking maybe it's link 11, but with no signal being sent, the information in link 11 is in the crash bursting. Yeah, I know. But I think it's kind of a new way of doing it. But no problem, Bobby. It's all right. You know, I mean, we all have our thresholds at a different level. We all have our thresholds at a different level um, of different things in life, you know. Nick Casarino, nice to have you on board from a hot California N6 VOA. I'm having a lot of fun with the GP7 SSB. I'm going to go do some walk in the park ETM scans this week with the videos. Yeah, tonight I'm banging the microphone quite a lot. So what else do we have? There he goes. And Pharaohs drinks alcohol so his blood won't freeze. You guys remember those old stories that I don't know if they're true or not, that they were finding those drunk Russians on vodka that were still alive in winter because of the vodka, they didn't freeze up. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but you know. Yeah. I mean, for me, weed and alcohol is on the same level. Like Matt says. So now it's all fixed. We all know what not to delete. James Farley, shortwave has always been and will always be, radios or not. Sheila, nice to have you here from Belleville, Ontario. Just wondering, considering my next radio, Texan PL880 and Ethon Elite Executive, any thoughts? Texan PL880 will be the ultimate radio that you have, and that's going to be great, and it's going to do what you want, and you're going to love it. That is where you should go. Take care, solitary radio listener. John Beckham, yeah, Cheech and Chong. How can you not remember anything Cheech and Chong? I mean, come on. They're classics. So it's Navtex on 8415 that we're expecting. And it should start in a minute from now. I mean, that's another, you know, we're talking about coffee. I see a coffee shop. Well, that's another drug. Caffeine and coffee. Keegan DXer. My dad, W9JEF, has one occasionally too. Yeah, you know, it's all in moderation. Patrick, is the PL80 better than the PL680? Yes, it's a step above. It's some in tuning precision, in the type of radio I have, the audio quality. It is a step above the PL680. That said, the PL680 is a darn good radio. So, anything coming up on that frequency tonight? Not hearing anything. We are going to keep an ear out because it happens that it starts late. I'm going to see if we hear anything there. Rob, the caffeine, the number one consumed drug. Exactly. I mean, why do we want to have our couple of cups of coffee in the morning? You know, it kind of boosts us. WHD folks delivered 13,500 pounds of coffee beans this morning. Wow. Yep. No, 6507 Zenfaros, but that one is not until, it's only 22 UT. It's not until going to be later this week. this week, tonight. Greg doesn't care what I drink. It's all a question of, being in moderation and just being. So you guys want me to stay until the Iqaluit Navtex and see if it works? This is we're gonna continue for another half hour at least. So we're at what 2 hours and 30 minutes on this stream. I did what 15 minutes on the other one before the audio went bad. So how about we go for Iqaluit Navtex at 0330? You guys want to try that? Jay Dakota loves my cups of latte and cappuccino in the morning. I have coffee. I got a couple of cups of coffee in the morning. I got the coffee machine that has a grinder in it, so I just put the coffee beans on the top, and it grinds the coffee beans for the amount of coffee that I want in the morning, which is so much better. Just take a cup of good cheer. Yeah, we got to be careful. Not everybody is a cup of good cheer on alcohol, but some of us do. Most of the time, I'm on my mother's side, so my mother always had fun when drinking. If I'd be on my father's side, I would be probably there'd be holes in the walls. That's another story. Chevy Chase, of course. Chevy Chase. Vacation. Chevy Chase movies in general, man. It reminds me, this brings me back so much in the good old days of these movies back in the day. Oh, man. Larry, N2ICZ, have Irish coffee. And kill two birds with one stone. Kenny Glass, stay a while, stay forever. That reminds me of a Commodore game I played. What was it? It was a Commodore game. Impossible Mission. Stay a while, stay forever. Bob Dylan sings everybody must get stoned. But I can tell you one thing on Bob Dylan is that if he goes into a if he has a concert near where you live, do not go see him. I saw Bob Dylan, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago in Montreal. I have to say it's the most horrible show I've ever seen in my life. That he can't sing anymore. This is just, you guys too, I don't know. He got too much stoned. Matt, what's the frequency for Iqaluit? 8415 upper sideband. It's actually 8416.5. Oh, the Navtex just started from Argentina. It's really not strong. I don't know if they'll be able to lock on it. But Argentina just started. You know when I tell you guys, it starts late sometimes? Be patient. A lot of the stations in the Navtex actually start late. Try to filter out a little bit. But definitely Navtex there, but it's not very strong. Got zero success in decoding right now. Yeah, on EIBI, you'll see Iqaluit it's 8416.5 in reality. That's the center frequency, but it's 8415 upper sideband to the code. And the Navtex there, but I have zero to code right now. Zero decode, but that's L2C Argentina right now. Candy glass, yeah. I'm gonna have to play a game on my Commodore. James Farley just downloaded the Navtex app. It works great, actually. So Matt has the Navtex there. It's weak here. I've not got any decode. So if you guys decode it and it's in Spanish, because that's Argentina, anything in Spanish, you're receiving Argentina and decoding it. $8415, not 8615. John Beckham, 8415. Hey Greg, you have to stop smoking cigarettes. They cost a lot of money for nothing, and you're actually, your health is going to be happy when you stop. You got to try that. Tenamus says Central Texas apparently close enough that I can decode most of it. Here I'm a zero decode. It doesn't even decode, not even a little bit of it. But that is L2C Argentina. You'll have some general Spanish. I'm going to try a different tone here. Oh, look at that. I changed the tone. It works. Not perfect, but I'm going to put the camera. So there's a little bit of Spanish. Uruguay, La madrugada de mi llorando, durante la mi llorando neblinas vis regular, Costa Mar del Plata. So this is a decode of L2C Argentina right now. You guys are seeing. So that is the code of the L2C Argentina Navtex weather. So this is really cool. This, of course, is my weather station here. So, whoops. I have to put some focus in. Here we go. So, you should get a decode, Canadian Radio TV guy. Try what I just did, 8415.5. Put it at 8415.5. It seems to decode much better at just 1 kilohertz, 8415.5. Yep, stopping smoking. But like some of you said, it's something that has to come out of yourself. You have to decide one day to stop. Everybody that I know that stopped, they just one day decided, you know what, it's over, and they stick with it. When you're really decided, it works, but you have to really be decided. Well, I can tell you one thing, John Beckham, from my father's side. My father stopped smoking maybe 25 years, and the doctors could still see in his lungs on x-rays that he smoked in the past. Urban Exploration Mexico's got a signal on 8415 upper sideband. Like I said, guys, if you have no decode, do what I did. Just narrow it down to 8415.5 instead of 8415. That seems to have done the trick for the decode for me. To name is go on eibispace.de and just type Navtex. It's going to pop up every Navtex transmission that you that there is out there. So my software, I'm using an AirSpy HF Plus Discovery on this machine. So the software in the background is SDR Console V3.1, the latest version that came out in April. And the decoding software is FLDG, version 4.1.22 on this machine right now. FLDG. But if you have a an Android phone or tablet, you will be able to decode. You'll be able to decode using Droid Navtex. Where is it? It's here on my phone. Yeah, this is the app on the phone, the Android phone and tablets, Droid Navtex. This actually, just with putting it close to the speaker, is good enough to decode. I don't know if I never do it with a computer here. Usually I use it with a real radio. But this works. Works with a real radio. Frank Vic, WB8P. Yep. You can also use multi-PSK. It's going to work. Color radio. Nice to have you here. Matt, funny. Yeah, you know, it all has to do with the audio tones. You have to be in a specific frequency for it to work well. It's a little weaker now, it seems. Put the audio a little higher here. When it's hot in the summer and I'm outside on the balcony, sometimes just with the telescopic antenna in my PL990X and my Android app on my tablet, I can actually decode just with the audio off the speaker without any connections. Got to remember, guys, that Argentina is quite far south of us. It's, this signal is apparently broadcasting near Buenos Aires. So that's a pretty good distance. You got to remember that this is not a powerhouse shortwave signal. This is a signal that is, just a few kilowatts. So it's kind of amazing that we're getting it here. What I find, what I'm waiting for is the Iqaluit station at 0330 UT. I can't wait to see if the Iqaluit is going to be there. No, well, no, I don't think so. It's pretty much darkness everywhere in the Americas now. Yep. There's no gray line here. This is really total darkness from Argentina to Montreal. Here, I'm going to show you. So it can be gray line because look at the world map here. Look at what it looks like. Oops. I'll do something here. So this is, if I can actually get something easy to see, this is what it looks like. It's really total darkness from Montreal to Montreal to North America right now. Pretty much. Yep, fall. There was actually, did you guys see there was snow in Brazil? The southern part of Brazil was covered in snow. People were going crazy. You had not seen snow in a long, long time. Hey, iceberg warnings. They even have a part of the transmission where they actually talk about Antarctica. You see, it's in English. This part is in English. They switched to English for the iceberg warnings. But guys, when you guys talk about the snowpocalypse or the snow that prevented you guys from going to work, here in Canada, we all laugh at you. I hope you know that. I mean, what we have here is like we have a foot of snow and everybody goes to work like there's nothing happening. So let's go down here. That signal knower here is Stanag. This one here. That's stunning. Oh, look at that Iona sound going through. Amazing. But here we have to. I mean, we have an army of trucks and everything. I mean, we get so much snow in a winter. We could have 2 meters of snow, which is what 7 feet of snow in one winter here. So we have to have trucks and we have to have everything. Was Patrick Moore? I always wonder if those were Iona sounds. Thank you. Yep, they are. And that's what, when you guys don't have SDRs, you hear the little chirp, the little tweep going through as a broadcast. That's because a Iona sound just went through to check for the propagation and the maximum usable frequency. The name is just, we laugh at you when you complain about a mere 80 degrees temperature. Yeah, yeah. But I'd like, you got to be careful on that one because we can have 90 degrees, but the humidity that we got here, and Matt MDK2 actually mentioned that once. Um, it is completely nuts how hot it can feel. I mean, it's tropical. And we're made for winter, so it's like summer at 90 degrees. If I'm not at the beach, if I'm not at the beach, I can tell you. Well, you guys in Florida get a lot of. They were saying that hurricane season this year might be pretty bad again, pretty active. Hope you guys in Florida don't have it too bad. And all south, Florida, and the coast of the Gulf Coast, and even the East Coast. More and more storms coming up, and strong storms coming up the East Coast also now. So it's going to be interesting to see if in 5 minutes, and once again, it could be late. Sometimes it starts a little late, but I wonder if the Callowitz station will actually come on. What's that here? The beeps. Look at the beeps here, guys. What's that? Oh, it's some kind of Amtor. Yep, the air conditioning. I mean, here the air conditioning, the one in my office is actually Like I'm going to show you. This is the air conditioning I'm using right there. So you see it here. This is the air conditioning unit, the 14,000 BTU unit. That thing works crazy, especially because it's on the sunny side of my office. So in daytime, it works overtime because of that. Frank Vick has weather facts on 8680. Have anything on 8680 here? 8680. There is. Look at that. Where's that from? Oops. Can I decode weather facts? I'm going to lower the pitch a little bit. I'm going to go to 86. Let's put it here. I don't know if it's going to decode anything. That is interesting. I don't know where this one comes from. 8460 Beijing weather facts. That would be China. Could that be China? I don't get any decode here. But apparently that could be China. Oh man, this is so intriguing. Propagation tonight is so interesting. I'm going to go back here and see if Iqaluit ever comes on. Oh, it was there. Look at that. There was a partial decode. I had a partial decode here. Oh, look at that, guys. That is Iqaluit. Iqaluit just... This is Iqaluit Coast Guard. Look at that, guys. Iqaluit Coast Guard. This is up north Canada. Up north Canada. This is crazy. Look how strong it is here. Great decode. Iqaluit Coast Guard VFF radio. And by the way, guys, if you find an email, they QSL. Yeah, that's always what happens, Matt. Last year, I remember what I did is I was decoding the Argentina one, and then the Iqaluit starts, and it just takes over the Argentina one. Uh, 8560. 8560 for the Chinese weather facts. I'm intrigued on that one now. 8560. Too many cool stuff to listen to tonight. This is crazy. That one is really good. Current series, blowing away in my speaker. Hey, Estrella Garcia. Nice to have you here, Estrella. So Canadian Coast Guard and Iqaluit, which is up north just above Quebec. John Beckham, 8560 Tanks Gel. Yep, check it out. It's I'm looking at EIBI space, and they have the only one that I see around 8560 is the Beijing, China weather fact station. So nav area and MT area 17 commands the full operation capability phase for Iridium Safety Cast navigational warnings effective May 1st. So that means May 1st is probably when the broadcast started. Okay, Matt, it's interesting. Because I'm not sure it's China. I'm at this time on that frequency. I have a hard time thinking it's China. What happens if we call 613-925-60666? You guys want to try it? How about we do it? So the number is 613-925. Is somebody going to answer? 0666. That's the phone number, right? It's in Prescott, Ontario. Oh, sorry. Is this related to anything navigational? Yeah, I'm the navigational warning desk for the coast. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm decoding what you hear right now, probably, which is annoying for you, which is a navigational from Iqaluit. And there was a number, and I was curious what that number would bring. So I just called the number. Oh, yeah. I'm in Ontario. So, yeah, we're the navigational warning desk, but you're picking up a transmission from Iqaluit, you say? Yes, right now on 8415 kilohertz. Okay. So I decided to check out the number, what it would bring me. So thank you so much. It's interesting to see. So is there somebody 24 hours a day in the office for that? Yeah. So I'm in Prescott, Ontario, and we are the radio room for the Coast Guard as well as the navigational warning desk. And we are staffed 24/7, 365, but there's also a center in Iqaluit that does the exact same thing as us. I mean, every center is unique, of course, to their geography and everything, but they aren't year-round. They're a seasonal thing, but they're back up and running now. They start up mid-May. Okay, wow. Okay, by the way, I just wanted to say that you are on YouTube Live right now because I'm doing a live radio show where we tune signals. So you want to say your name and say hello to everybody? Sure. Hi, my name's Sarah, and I work for the Canadian Coast Guard out of Marine Communications Traffic Services, Prescott. Cool. Well, if you want to have the link, I don't know if there's an email I can send to you. If you want to have the link to the live show when it's recorded, you'll be able to see what I do also at the same time. Sure. Let me send it to our email here is safety.prescott. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to send that. So if you want to check out what I do, and at the same time, you'll be able to see that you're really live on YouTube. And where are you located? I'm in Montreal, Canada. And the people actually listening right now, there's people from all over the world, but there's people decoding the same signal in the United States right now, and many areas. Okay, fascinating. That's really cool. Thank you for
for calling.
Well, no problem, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
How cool was that, guys? How cool was that? I'm very charming. I was surprised. I was not expecting somebody to actually answer the phone. I really was not expecting. I was at this time. I was expecting some kind of answering machine, and when she answered, I was like taken off guard, and it was like, "Well, I can't hang up. I called, so I have to explain what I'm doing." So I made her afternoon probably or evening. So you guys can see that in a situation where I'm actually very, very caught off guard, I still can keep my cool and try to get some information. Take care, Jeff King. Fun IoT. Let's have you here. It was meant for you to speak with Sarah. So we heard Sarah from the Canadian Coast Guard, and she was she seemed to be surprised that we're receiving this from Iqaluit, and that I can't wait to see when she gets the link for the live show and she can see where it was. Kind of cool. You see all that I can do for you guys? A live call to the Canadian Coast Guard talking about this station being heard because the number popped up on the screen here. As long John Beckham that it doesn't end up like the song Sarah from Starship. Sarah from Fleetwood Mac is one, but Sarah from Starship is the bad one. The Iqaluit Navtex is 8415.5 upper sideband. No problem, Greg. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send the link to the overall show, but I'm gonna send also the just the chunk where she is in it. No, 6501 is the right now. What you're hearing is Chesapeake, Virginia, Matt. 6501 Chesapeake, Virginia, because Iqaluit with voice is 6507. So what you're hearing 6501 is Chesapeake, Virginia. which I believe is on now. If I look at the schedules. It is interesting though. 6501 is also written as Iqaluit, so that's kind of interesting. Yep, same frequency. Well, 8416.5, which is the nominal frequency intro PM brace, is the same. It's a frequency for Navtex for multiple stations. You know what? I'm going to tune 6501. I'm going to check it out. 6501, you say 6501. No, I'm getting this is Chesapeake, Virginia, with its audio distortion. It's audio distortion. So the nominal frequency is it's 416.5, but I go down 1 kilohertz for the decode. So let's put this here. So about that, guys, did you find that cool to have that Sarah from the Canadian Coast Guard answer the phone and talk to us? It was kind of cool. I thought that's really a highlight of the night, I can tell you that. But some really, really cool propagation also at the same time. So, whoops, I am good at kicking the microphone tonight. So that was something. I gotta say. Yeah, what to say. Maybe Sarah's on Twitter. So hey guys, we've been on for more than 3 hours, and I don't want to I want to make sure that the neighbors go to sleep and don't find me annoying. So this has been a great moment tonight. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed the bonus of the call to the Canadian Coast Guard with Sarah, and it was really a lot of fun to do this tonight. So I want to thank you guys. Don't forget, if you want to tip, because I did something cool tonight, don't forget you can tip in the chat with, super chat or stickers or whatever, if you feel like it. I went to great lengths, and I did a really long stream tonight. It's like 3 hours and a half. You count the first part. So I hope you enjoyed our Wednesday stream. We're going to be back Saturday at 20 hours UTC. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you so much for being here. It's always a lot of fun. And stay safe, guys, okay? And hope you enjoyed the last little thrill of that Canadian Coast Guard call on the phone. Cheers, everyone. Stay safe.